Black woman kissed a Korean Mafia boss to escape her ex. His promise made her untouchable. The smell hit her first. Gun oil and expensive cologne. Clean, sharp, dangerous. Cutting through the damp night air like a warning she was already too late to hear. Amara Lewis felt the grip on her wrist tighten. Fingers digging into her skin with a familiarity that made her stomach twist. The music from the club behind her thudded through the brick walls, bass vibrating under her feet. Neon lights bleeding red and violet into the narrow alley. Somewhere a bottle shattered. Someone laughed. "Amara," Malik whispered, his voice low and intimate in the way that once felt like love and now felt like a threat. "You really thought you could disappear?" Her breath stuttered. She didn't turn around. She already knew the shape of his anger, the rhythm of it, knew how quickly it could turn ugly. "Let me go," she said, forcing calm into her voice. "I don't want trouble." Malik laughed softly, the sound soaked in alcohol and resentment. "You never did. But trouble seems to like you." His grip tightened. Pain flared up her arm, sharp enough to make her eyes sting. She scanned the alley desperately, searching for help, for witnesses, anything. And then she saw him. He stood at the mouth of the alley, like he'd stepped out of another world entirely. Tall, still, dressed in black, that looked tailored rather than flashy. The light caught the edge of a tattoo curving up the side of his neck, disappearing beneath his collar. Ink that felt deliberate, not decorative. His face was calm. Too calm. Dark eyes surveyed the scene with quiet authority, as if violence were an inconvenience rather than a threat. Everyone in Koreatown knew that face. Jinwoo Park. The Korean Mafia boss people didn't name unless they had to. The man whose presence could empty a room without a word spoken. The kind of power that didn't need to announce itself. Malik hadn't noticed him yet. He was too busy enjoying her fear. Amara's heart slammed against her ribs. Her mind raced, panic sharpening into something reckless, desperate, and sudden. She made a choice. Before fear could stop her, she twisted her wrist free, just enough to stumble forward. She crossed the distance between herself and Jinwoo in 3 uneven steps, grabbed the front of his coat, rose onto her toes, and kissed him. It wasn't graceful. It wasn't planned. It was survival pressed into skin. The alley fell silent. Jinwoo didn't react at first. His body was solid beneath her hands, unmoving, as if the world could crash into him and still break first. For half a second, Amara thought she'd made a terrible mistake. Then his hand came up, not to shove her away, to steady her. His palm rested at her waist, firm and grounding. His breath hitched once against her lips, a subtle sound only she noticed. When she pulled back, her lips tingled, heart pounding so hard she felt dizzy. Behind her, Malik's voice cracked. "What the hell is this?" Jinwoo's gaze lifted slowly, sliding past Amara to settle on Malik. The calm in his eyes was chilling, not angry, not startled. "Certain. She's with me," he said. The words were quiet, measured. "Absolute." Amara's stomach dropped. Malik scoffed, trying to laugh it off. "Man, you don't even know her." "She's—" "I know enough," Jinwoo interrupted. His arm slid fully around Amara, drawing her back against him. It wasn't rough. It was possessive in a way that felt intentional, strategic. "You should leave," he added. Malik stepped forward anyway, pride flaring. "You don't get to tell me." He stopped mid-sentence. Men emerged from the shadows, like they'd been waiting for permission to exist. They blocked the alley exits without touching Malik, their presence alone shifting the balance of power. Jinwoo leaned down, his lips near Amara's ear. "Stay still," he murmured, "and don't be afraid." Then louder, "If you ever come near her again, I won't warn you." The threat wasn't emotional. It wasn't loud. It was factual. Malik swallowed, his bravado drained, eyes darting between Jinwoo and the men surrounding him. Slowly, he backed away, hands raised. "This isn't over," he muttered, retreating down the alley. Jinwoo watched until Malik disappeared into the street. Only then did the tension ease, sound rushing back in like a tide. Amara stepped away, hands shaking. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I didn't know what else to do." Jinwoo studied her face, his gaze lingering on the red mark blooming around her wrist. Something softened in his expression. "You did exactly what you needed to," he said. She blinked. "I did." "Yes." He gestured toward a sleek black car idling nearby. "Come with me." It wasn't a question. The leather seat was cool beneath her palms as the car pulled away from the curb. City lights streaked past the windows, blurring into gold and white. Amara sat stiffly, unsure where to put her hands, her fear slowly giving way to disbelief. Jin-Woo sat across from her, posture relaxed, eyes thoughtful. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Somewhere safe," he replied. "For tonight. You don't owe me anything." A faint smile touched his mouth. "You kissed me in public," he said. "You made me part of your life." She flushed. "I was desperate." "I know," he said gently. "That's why I helped." The car slowed as they approached a high-rise overlooking the city. Amara swallowed. She had escaped one danger. She had no idea what she just stepped into. And as the doors opened and Jin-Woo offered his hand, she couldn't shake the feeling that her life had just split cleanly in two. Before him. And after. The elevator ride was silent except for the soft hum of ascent and the faint clink of metal somewhere deep in the walls. Amara stood beside Jin-Woo, her reflection wavering in the mirrored panel, eyes wide, shoulders tight, a woman bracing for impact. The doors opened onto a private floor washed in low, warm light. Glass walls framed a city that seemed to float beneath them, streets glowing like veins of gold. The space was expansive but spare, clean lines, muted colors, no clutter. It felt less like a home and more like a controlled environment designed for thinking, planning, surviving. "You can take the guest room," Jin-Woo said, motioning down a hallway. "It locks from the inside. No one comes up here without my permission." She nodded, absorbing the words. "No one comes up here without my permission." The statement wasn't boastful. It was infrastructure. "Thank you," she said. The words felt small compared to what he'd done. He inclined his head, as if gratitude were a currency he accepted but didn't collect. "There's food in the kitchen. Min Jae will bring fresh clothes in the morning." "Min Jae, my assistant," he said, "and much more, depending on the day." She hesitated, then asked the question that had been tightening in her chest since the alley. "Why didn't you push me away?" Jin-Woo stopped. For a moment, he looked out at the city instead of at her. "Because I saw your wrist," he said, "and because when people are cornered, they tell the truth with their bodies." He turned back to her, eyes steady. "You weren't playing a game." She felt something loosen, just a little. In the guest room, Amara sat on the edge of the bed long after the door clicked shut. The sheets smelled clean. The silence was thick, protective. She pressed her fingers to her lips, replaying the kiss, the way his hand had steadied her instead of claiming her. Sleep came in fragments. Morning arrived quietly. Sunlight spilled across the kitchen floor when Amara padded out, barefoot, following the smell of coffee. Jin-Woo stood at the counter, sleeves rolled up, dark hair slightly mussed as if he'd slept badly. He poured coffee with the same care he'd used to dismantle Malik's threat. "You're up early," she said. "I don't sleep much," he replied, handing her a mug. "Sit." She did. The coffee was strong and smooth, grounding her. For a moment, they drank in silence. "Malik won't come back," Jin-Woo said. Her stomach clenched. "You can't be sure." "I am," he replied. "But certainty requires maintenance." She met his gaze. "What does that mean?" "It means," he said slowly, "that if you leave here, you'll need protection that follows you. A name that shields you when I'm not present." Her pulse quickened. "Your name?" "Yes." The weight of it pressed down on her chest. "People will think. They'll think you belong to me," he finished. "That's the point." Amara pushed her mug away, unease curling through her. "I don't want to be owned." His eyes softened. "Neither do I." He leaned back, giving her space. "This isn't ownership. It's alignment. You keep your life, your choices. I keep you safe." "And the cost?" she asked quietly. "Honesty," he said. "And proximity." She considered the word. Proximity. It meant being seen, known, exposed. What if I say no? Then I'll still make sure Malik stays gone, Jinwoo said. But the world is cruel to women without shields. Her thoughts drifted to slashed tires, whispered threats, the way fear had become a reflex. She hated how much his offer made sense. I'll think about it, she said. He nodded. That's all I ask. Min Jae arrived with a quiet efficiency that startled Amara. Clothes appeared simple, elegant pieces that fit as if they'd been tailored to her body. No logos, no excess, just comfort and intention. You don't have to wear these, Min Jae said gently. They're options. Thank you, Amara replied, surprised by the kindness in her eyes. The days unfolded slowly. Amara ventured back into the city, with Jinwoo's driver waiting nearby. She returned to the cafe to explain her absence, bracing for Malik's shadow around every corner, but it wasn't there. Whispers followed her instead. Curious glances. Respect edged with caution. People noticed who waited outside. At night, she and Jinwoo shared quiet dinners. He asked about her childhood, her dreams shelved for survival. She learned about the weight of legacy he carried, a life chosen before he understood its cost. Some nights, she heard him pacing the balcony, footsteps measured, restless. Once, she joined him. You don't have to stay up, she said. Neither do you, he replied, eyes on the city. But some nights, sleep feels like surrender. She understood more than she wanted to. The decision came the day Malik's name resurfaced. A co-worker whispered it, voice hushed. He's been asking around. Fear flared, sharp and immediate. Amara called Jinwoo without thinking. He arrived within minutes, expression controlled but eyes dark. He listened, then cupped her face, thumbs warm against her cheeks. I promised you, he said, and I don't break promises. What do you need from me? She asked, voice trembling. Stand with me, he said, publicly. Her heart hammered. This was the line. Once crossed, there was no returning to anonymity. She took a breath. Okay. That night, they entered a restaurant together, Jinwoo's hand resting lightly at the small of her back. Conversation stalled. Heads turned. The message rippled outward without a word spoken. She felt fear, yes, but also something new. A steadiness. A sense of being seen and not flinching. Later, alone, she asked, What did you just do? I drew a boundary, he said. Around you. And now, he replied, meeting her gaze. You're untouchable. The words settled into her bones. She realized then that this wasn't just protection. It was transformation, hers and his, unfolding in tandem. And somewhere beneath the calm, a different tension stirred, waiting to be named. The first night Amara truly slept was the night she stopped listening for footsteps. It surprised her how quickly the body learned safety when it was consistent. No sudden noises, no whispered threats, no tight coil of fear waking her before dawn. When she opened her eyes, sunlight warmed the curve of her shoulder, and for a brief, fragile moment, she forgot the life she'd been running from. Then memory returned, softly this time. Jinwoo's penthouse had become familiar, the way the floors stayed cool even in heat, the muted hum of the city far below, the unspoken understanding that she was protected here. Still, protection had a cost. She felt it in the way eyes followed her now, in the way her name was spoken carefully, in the space people gave her when Jinwoo was near. It was power by association, and it unsettled her more than fear ever had. That afternoon, she found him in the study, standing before a wall of screens filled with maps and numbers that meant nothing to her. His jacket was off, shirt sleeves rolled, tattoo visible along his neck like a warning and a promise intertwined. You look like you're planning a war, she said lightly. He glanced over his shoulder. I'm preventing one. She crossed the room, curiosity overcoming caution. Malik. Yes, Jinwoo replied. He's reckless. That makes him dangerous. Her stomach tightened. I don't want anyone hurt because of me. Jinwoo turned fully to face her. People get hurt because of choices they make, he said. Not because you exist. The conviction in his voice steadied her. She nodded, accepting the truth even if she didn't fully believe it yet. That evening, Min-jae joined them for dinner. She watched Amara closely, assessing in a way that felt protective rather than judgmental. "You've changed him," Min-jae said suddenly. Jin-woo arched a brow. "Careful." "I mean it," Min-jae continued. "He listens differently now." Amara flushed. "I didn't mean to." "Intentions matter less than impact," Min-jae said gently. "Just know that what you do here has weight." After Min-jae left, silence settled again. "Does that bother you?" Amara asked. "That people think I influence you." Jin-woo considered. "It bothers me that they're surprised." Her breath caught at the way he looked at her then, not as a problem to solve, but as a presence he wanted to keep. The small moments were what undid her. The way he remembered how she took her tea. The way he slowed his steps so she could walk beside him, not behind. The way he listened, really listened, when she spoke about dreams she'd buried under practicality. One evening, rain hammered the windows. The city blurred into silver streaks. Amara sat curled on the couch, a book forgotten in her lap. "Why don't you ever ask me to leave?" she asked suddenly. Jin-woo set his glass down carefully. "Would you go if I did?" She hesitated. "I don't know." "Then neither do I," he said. The honesty of it made her chest ache. She reached for his hand before fear could stop her. His fingers stilled under hers, then laced with intention. "This complicates things," he murmured. "Everything worth keeping is complicated," she replied. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. The kiss was unhurried, exploratory. No desperation, no strategy. Just two people choosing closeness, despite the risk. When they parted, Jin-woo rested his forehead against hers. "If this continues," he said, "there will be consequences." "I know," Amara said softly, "but I'm tired of living like I'm already paying for them." The consequences arrived sooner than she expected. A brick through the cafe window. A note left behind. A warning scribbled in familiar handwriting. "You think his shadow lasts forever?" Amara stared at the shattered glass, her reflection fractured into pieces. Fear surged back, sharper this time because she'd tasted peace. Jin-woo arrived before she could call him. His control fractured when he saw the damage. Anger rolled off him in silent waves, his jaw tightening as he examined the note. "He crossed a line," he said. "So will you," she replied, surprising herself with the steadiness of her voice. "If you retaliate the way he wants, he wins." He looked at her, something like pride flickering through his fury. "What would you have me do?" "End it," she said. "Not with fear. With finality." That night, Jin-woo confronted Malik in a warehouse heavy with tension and dust. Amara refused to stay behind. The standoff was brutal in its restraint. Words cut deeper than fists. "She chose me," Jin-woo said calmly. Malik laughed hollow. "You think she's different? She'll leave when she sees what you really are." Amara stepped forward before Jin-woo could stop her. Her heart pounded, but her voice didn't waver. "I already see him," she said, "and I chose myself." Silence followed. Malik faltered. In that moment, he lost more than a fight. He lost control. Security moved in. Malik was disarmed, his threats reduced to nothing. Afterward, Jin-woo turned to Amara, eyes dark with emotion. "You didn't need me," he said quietly. "No," she replied, "but I wanted you." He pulled her into his arms, holding her as if the world might try to take her again. In that embrace, she understood something fundamental. Protection wasn't about power. It was about presence. The warehouse smelled like dust and old iron long after Malik was gone. Amara stood still, her heartbeat slowly settling into something human again. The adrenaline ebbed, leaving behind a strange clarity. For the first time in months, maybe years, she didn't feel hunted. She felt present. Jin-woo dismissed his men with a quiet gesture. The vast space emptied until it was just the two of them, standing amid echoes and half-finished endings. "You shouldn't have stepped forward," he said at last. She turned to face him. "You trusted me to." His jaw tightened. "I trust you with more than I should." "That sounds like fear," she replied gently. He exhaled, the breath carrying weight. "It is." They left the warehouse together, the night cool against their skin. In the car, Silence wrapped around them. Not tense this time, but contemplative. Amara watched the city pass, realizing she no longer felt small inside it. Back at the penthouse, Jin-Woo poured 2 glasses of water instead of whiskey. The choice felt deliberate. "People think power makes you untouchable," he said, handing her a glass. "But power is loud. It draws knives." "And yet," Amara said, "you made me untouchable." He met her gaze. "Because I didn't give you power. I gave you certainty." She considered that. Certainty was knowing where you stood, knowing who would stand with you when it mattered. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "No," he said without hesitation. "I regret how long I convinced myself I didn't deserve this." Her chest tightened. "This." He stepped closer, close enough that she felt his warmth, his steadiness. "Someone who sees me and doesn't flinch." She reached up, fingers brushing the tattoo on his neck. "Someone who lets themselves be seen." The admission cracked something open between them. Jin-Woo took her hand, pressing it over his heart. "I can protect cities," he said quietly. "I can end wars before they start. But when I imagine losing you, none of that matters." Emotion swelled at her throat. "Then don't lose me," she whispered. "Walk with me." He leaned down, resting his forehead against hers. "Stay," he murmured. "Not because you need my shield. Because I want you beside me." Amara smiled through tears. "I'm not hiding anymore." Their kiss was unhurried, grounding. 2 people choosing permanence over fear. Life didn't soften overnight. There were still whispers, still shadows that tested boundaries, but none crossed them. Jin-Woo's promise held, not as a threat, but as a truth people learned to respect. Amara reclaimed her days. She returned to the cafe not as a place of survival, but as a beginning. With Jin-Woo's quiet backing and her own relentless effort, it became hers. Sunlight filled the space. Laughter replaced tension. She hired people who reminded her of herself, tired, hopeful, worthy. Jin-Woo watched from the sidelines, never interfering, never diminishing her ownership. He came in mornings for coffee, evenings for conversation, letting her world expand without absorbing it. One night, as they walked home hand in hand, she asked, "Do you ever miss the version of you that didn't care?" He considered. "Sometimes. But that version was empty." "And now?" "Now," he said, squeezing her hand, "I'm accountable." The word felt intimate. The city learned a new truth. Amara Lewis wasn't protected because she belonged to Jin-Woo Park. She was protected because she was chosen, and because she chose herself. People didn't test her boundaries, not because they feared him, but because they respected what stood beside her: resolve, clarity, and a man who never made promises lightly. On the night the cafe celebrated its 1-year anniversary, Jin-Woo stood across the room watching her laugh with her staff, her confidence effortless now. Min-jae joined him. "She's changed you," she said. Jin-Woo smiled, soft and unguarded. "She reminded me who I was before the world demanded armor." Amara caught his eye across the room. She smiled just for him. In that moment, there were no enemies, no past ghosts, no futures to outrun. Just a woman who once kissed a stranger to survive, and a man who turned that moment into a promise that made her untouchable. Thank you for listening to Black Woman Kissed a Korean Mafia Boss to Escape Her Ex. His promise made her untouchable. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your support means the world. Until next time, Red Heart.